Hi, welcome to the Spiritual Connection Show. I'm your host, Katie Augustyn. So I'm a transformation coach, I'm a spiritual energy healer, I'm a shamanic practitioner, and I'm also the spiritual head of the Transformation Center CT, which is located in Westport, Connecticut. You know, at the center, we do a variety of workshops, trainings. We have satsang once a month, which is Sanskrit for in the company of the truth. And we also do individual sessions, healing sessions, shamanic sessions, and coaching. So everyone is welcome to come to the center and check it out. Our website is transformationcenterct.com. So we'd love to see you there whenever you can. So the Spiritual Connection Show is all about connection. It's really, it's about connecting with each other, and it's also about allowing us to connect more fully with our own spiritual selves. So, as you know, every week I have a different guest, and they're going to share what they're up to, what their spiritual journey has been. Whatever's going on with them, look at yourself and see how that can be helpful for you. That's really what this is all about. So thanks for joining us. I'm happy that you're here tonight. So my guest tonight is Bill Donaldson. Hey, Bill.
Hi, Katie.
Hey.
It's nice to finally be here.
I know it. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's true. I wanted to get you on the show like a year and a half, probably, when I first met you through the 203 TLC group.
Yeah.
And that was last summer. It was a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm glad it finally worked out. But I think the timing is good. Because you have a lot going on, right?
Yeah, much more than back then.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm really excited for you. It's all great.
Thank you.
So I want to catch up and hear what you're up to. But before, I'm just going to tell the audience a little bit about you that you sent me, because they don't really know you at all. So Bill has been self-employed as a financial planner for over 20 years, specializing in the financial issues of divorce, which is a really helpful thing for a lot of people. And in addition, he's treasurer of Two Coyotes Wilderness School. Yeah, so you're going to talk about that, right?
Sure.
Okay, cool. And what it is, it's a nonprofit, nature-based mentoring organization. And he's also the founder and president of the nonprofit Love Has a Home, which I've known a little bit about. That's how I got to know you a little bit better, through that, I think. And it's currently based at Sticks and Stones Farm in Newtown, which you're also involved with as well.
Right.
Yeah. Now, we're not done yet. Bill is also currently enrolled in an Interfaith Seminary program in New York, in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's expecting to be ordained in June of next year. That's amazing. And we're going to hear all about that, too, in a few minutes. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Yeah, so before we get into that, the question I always ask my guests first is, tell us a little bit about your spiritual journey, like how you got started, anything you want to share.
That's such an interesting question. I'm sure you hear that a lot. But how it started is sometimes difficult to pinpoint. For some people, it's not. It's a moment they can pinpoint, like a trauma or something they can really put their finger on. And for me, you have to look back, and I think of it as nudges from spirit. When you get a little older, you can start looking back. And so that's how I see it. It's not a major pivot. It's like I can look back and think, oh yeah, there was a moment where I just sort of took this path that I wasn't really sure. And that first one, I think that first one was when I left my career with the state police, which I didn't put in there.
No. Well, actually, I knew that, but I'd forgotten.
Yeah, it's been so long. I've been out of there for 18 years, so I don't really put it in my current bio, if you will.
Right.
But that seemed like the first nudge looking back, because it was my dream to do that in high school. And when I was a junior in high school, I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I did it. I got hired before I finished college and got, started working. And I thought I'd be so excited, and this was it for life. And something just wasn't quite right. And I couldn't put my finger on exactly, but even soon, after I started, I felt like, why am I not so excited about doing my dream job? And But it took me 13 years to figure it out that something's calling me away. So I left that career and I went into financial planning, and that was in the mid-90s. And I actually did both for a while, and then I switched. And so I thought that was it. And, you know, I really have enjoyed being an entrepreneur and being self-employed. That's given me so much freedom. But that may not be the dream job either. But what it did was it started to make me look inside, because when you're an entrepreneur, as you know, you can't depend on anybody else for your success. Right. It only comes from yourself. So you start looking at, like, how can I be a better salesperson? How can I be a better, you know, marketer? How can I be better whatever? And I started picking up books like Tony Robbins and Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. You know, that was one of the first ones. And it starts causing you to look inside. And that was, so that sort of shift out of government work to self-employment was the first shift that started me, you know, doing that inner dive, I guess, if you call it that.
Right.
And then it was just a progression. You know, the self-help books started turning more spiritual. And I don't know where, like how exactly. It's just like they just kept pointing that way, that way, that way. And then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, where am I? But there was another pivotal moment that happened when I hired a business coach to help me out, you know, with just some business stuff. He happened to be a very spiritual person. I didn't really know that. I knew he was into law of attraction. That was kind of my probably first real foray into what was really spiritual work, but I didn't really know. I just knew it was a way to attract more stuff.
Right. You were still kind of in the business mode.
Yes. I was like, I want more stuff. So if this is a way to get that, great.
Yeah. Okay.
And he said, you need to watch a movie called What the Bleep Do We Know? He says, watch that movie. You can stream it, you know, whatever, it's free. Watch it, and then when you come back and tell me what you thought. So I watched this movie, and I was like, oh my God. You know, I went back to him, I said, that was amazing, like that's mind blowing. He goes, okay, now I need you to read a book. So he gave me a book to read called The Nature of Personal Reality, and it was written by a woman who channeled an entity known as Seth. And she was channeling back in the late 60s and 70s. Okay. So this book it's an older book. But I read that, and then my mind just completely blew apart. Like, I was like, wow. And so that was it.
That's a pretty pivotal moment, I would say.
So that was, and I don't remember what year that was. It was in the early 2000s. And that's when the door sort of slammed behind me on this spiritual journey. And once you go through that door, you can't go back. You know, I mean, you do not go back. You just can't.
You can't not know what you know.
Right, because you get a glimpse. And you
want more.
Just keep going. So it's been, since then, it's just ongoing, and it's a journey, right?
Yes,
so
there's no destination.
There's
really.
no end.
No.
Well, maybe there is.
I don't know. We don't know.
We don't know. We don't know. But that's sort of it. And along the way, I've morphed into doing different things, and certainly the Interfaith Ministry is a massive shift in that direction.
Yeah.
That's another calling that I think anyone that goes on that path, it's not like you really just woke up one day and said, this is something I want to do. It's something that calls.
It's more like a calling.
It is a calling. It's an answer, not a request, I guess, is one way to, it's like, it was just something that came up, and, it took me a couple of years to pull the trigger on it. I've been thinking about it.
I see.
But like everything, the timing just always works out right. Including this show with you today.
Right.
None of this was happening a year and whenever ago.
We would have had a completely different conversation.
Exactly. We would have been talking about divorce planning or something boring.
No, that's perfect. Yeah. I agree. So I definitely do want to hear about the seminary. Do you want to talk about that now?
Well,
why not?
I guess, why
and
not?
Then we can backtrack and talk about everything else.
A little bit. So, it almost requires a little bit of backtracking, though, because the reason I felt really compelled to do it has to do with what's going on with Sticks and Stones Farm.
Okay, well then why don't we
So it might require, and then that requires maybe some backtracking too.
All right,
so,
well then just start wherever you want.
I think we're going to backtrack a little bit. So, so that piece of my journey, which is sort of the natural, nature-based piece of what I do, started with Two Coyotes Wilderness School. Okay. And it started when my son was 7 years ago, and started going to summer camp there. It's in Newtown where we were living at the time, and we just fell in love with the program and the people, just everything about it. The land, Sticks and Stones Farm, everything was just amazing. And so, we started to volunteer to help the organization, and then next thing you know, I'm on the board. Which,
funny how that happens,
right?
Yeah.
Like, you're volunteering, hey, how about this, and so I've been the treasurer for about 4.5 years, and very passionate about that organization, what they do, the nature-based mentoring with kids, getting them in the woods, off the devices.
Wow.
It's such a challenge these days with kids not being outside.
Yeah, it's true.
They don't go outside anymore. So this is just a way to get them out all day long, no devices. They're just in the woods doing amazing things. They think they're playing games, but they're really getting mentored.
Yeah.
And they're learning about how to sit still and be in nature. They're playing hide and seek,
right?
But they're hiding
being quiet.
and being quiet, so no one,
and listening.
So it's a way, we call it coyote mentoring because it's sneaky.
Oh, I love
It's
that.
sneaky. The kids are having a blast, and they don't even, they walk out of it at the end of the day like, that was the greatest thing ever. And they were just having a great time, but they're also getting these deeper lessons that may not really come out for years.
Yeah, they're internalizing it.
Yeah, but it's becoming part of them. They're starting to connect with nature more and connect, just like trees become almost like alive, and instead of just some inanimate thing. They start to learn about it, and they pay attention, and the animals and the tracks, and everything. They just really build a connection. And I've seen some of these kids through the years develop into amazing young adults,
Wow.
So it's been just profound. So, so very quickly, the owner of Sticks and Stones Farm is looking to sort of move on, and he was really looking at Two Coyotes to be the successor, the steward of this 60-acre property. And as the treasurer, I was sort of leading the way in that discussion. And long story short, ultimately it didn't work out with Two Coyotes, but I was so into it. I'm like, hey, I have a nonprofit too. It's called Love as a Home, and I would love to step in and continue these negotiations. So, so that's underway as we speak.
Okay.
Love Has a Home is currently, it'll be interesting to go back to this show someday and go, hey, that's when I was trying to buy Sticks and Stones.
That was a pivotal moment.
Right. Yeah, so we'll see. There's a lot of steps between here and ultimately purchase. But the owner and I are really on the same page, I think, in terms of our vision for that land and how we want to continue it to be used as a way of connecting people to nature, to themselves, to each other. I think that's one of our sort of major issues in the world is disconnection.
I agree.
If you don't feel any connection to nature or the trees, whatever, it's easy to just cut them down and get them move them out of your way. It's just a thing. But when you start to think about how, the symbiotic relationship between oxygen and carbon dioxide and monoxide, how we share that with each other, what they exhale, we inhale, and I know Donna just talked about that in your show because I just watched it.
Right.
So we share. In fact, she's doing her first program at Sticks and Stones this weekend.
Perfect.
So, we share a lot of that passion about nature connection. So that's what the future is about that. So, so now getting to the seminary piece.
Well, let me ask you something about Sticks and Stones before we get off of that, because I have been there a few times, and it is an amazing piece of property, and it's 60 acres, you said. It's right kind of in the heart of Newtown, or it's a little bit on the northern?
It's kind of in the southwestern corner, Monroe, Easton, that kind of corner.
And it's very accessible.
Easy to get to.
Yeah, and I like the idea of having, it's like year-round, because Two Coyotes, is that mainly a summer program?
Well, they have a homeschool program that's year-round.
And they do it at Sticks and Stones?
Yeah, those kids are outside all year.
Oh, wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's once a week.
Okay.
The kids will come, and then they have another program
awesome.
that's for public school kids. They actually leave their public school classroom one day a week.
Oh, like Nature's Classroom, except ongoing.
And every week they have kids from
Wow.
public schools spending a day with a mentor in the woods. And that's no matter what the weather's doing, unless it's super windy because of the trees, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Thunder, and then extreme cold. They don't go out, but otherwise,
That's amazing. So that's available. I don't know how many people actually know about that. I mean, it's obviously more convenient if you're pretty close.
Yeah, but people travel. I know of a family from Southington that comes every week.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing else available. I mean, that's it.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, especially for homeschooling families, they look for opportunities like that.
And we have a location in Granby, Holcomb
Oh.
Farm in Granby, that's also very successful. So we serve that Hartford, Northern Hartford sort of
So
area.
so wherever you live, you can find it, find something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is great to know.
It is.
I
Yeah.
know, and you do a
It's
lot
good
of
stuff.
programs there as well.
So that's having the idea of having this as Love Has a Home's headquarters and physical space as a retreat center, and really more on the spiritual end. That calling for ministry really got louder in terms of my role there as head of this spiritual retreat center.
Okay.
And so I see that as my ministry is not necessarily, preaching, but bringing people together
Oh, beautiful.
to connect, get them outside, just to provide that space.
So it's more of continuing what you've already started.
It is.
And broadening it and expanding
it's kind of
it.
putting a little formality to it,
Yeah,
Reverend Bill.
I love it. That's cool.
It just felt like that's something it's not something I necessarily need, but it just felt like it's the right thing for me to be able to step into that really authentically and with more purpose.
Yeah, no, I can see that for you actually. So how's it going with the training seminary?
It's amazing. We spend a month immersed in different religions each month.
Okay.
So the most recent month was on Islam, and there's so much misunderstanding with Islam.
Yeah.
And I learned so much that I never knew, because I never studied it. I knew a bit about it, but I never really took the time to study it and to understand it. And it's really amazing to be so devoted to your faith and to your God that 5 times every day you stop what you're doing and you pray to God. And it's the same God.
Yeah.
They don't have their God, and it's
all the same
all
God.
the same.
Yeah, I agree.
Just because they refer to their God as Allah,
They call it something
it doesn't
different.
matter. It's Jehovah, Allah, God, Spirit, Universe, Creator. It doesn't make a difference. And that's, to me, it's, we have to actually do one of the practices of that religion for the month. I'm like, I'll do the 5 times a day prayer. I mean, that's not easy.
No.
You get busy, and you're like, I missed that one, and you're like, I missed that one.
Oh, wow.
Like the morning and the evening are easy enough, right? But the ones in the middle of the day, like people will literally stop what they're doing. They may be driving a truck, pull over, get their prayer rug out, and boom, it's just it's part of the culture. It's not part of my culture, so it's hard for me to adapt to it.
But there's supposed to be specific times that are already outlined, so you don't choose your times. They're more like
so I visited
set.
a mosque. There's one in Monroe, very close to Sticks and Stones, and in the mosque they have the times listed.
I see.
And the reason for that is to try. It doesn't mean you have to do it then. It's just the closer you can get to that time, the more people are all doing it at the same time. You can feel, even if you're alone, you feel like you're with everybody. You're all stopping at that moment.
No, I think there's a lot to that.
Yeah. So that's the intention. But they're very, if you can, it's not like it's super hardcore. You do your best. And for people that physically can't do the prostration and the bending, they don't have to. You can sit in a chair and do it. The older
It's about the intention.
Yeah. So it's really a beautiful faith. So that's just one example. And we can't study every single religion. There's just not enough months that we're there. But we get a really good, surface and a little below the surface look at many of the major religions. And so I've been finding it super fascinating. And then when you talk to people that are from different faiths, you can connect, better.
Yeah, I would think.
And you start to see the commonality around all the religions. There's so much we have in common, and we focus on what's different.
I know.
And that's where I want to create a space. That's another purpose for Sticks and Stones, is to bring people of all faiths together. Because one thing we all have in common is our world, our planet, nature. We're all together with that, because if the earth doesn't make it, neither do we. Doesn't matter what faith you are. So to bring people together under that sort of umbrella of Mother Earth or nature is wonderful. And love is another commonality. So love has a home. Love has a home wherever you are, but the physical space, Sticks and Stones. I really want it to be not just a saying, but I really want people to feel that love has a home there. When they go there, they feel it.
Oh, that's
and
beautiful.
there is an energy there. A lot of people will comment on that when they just come and just feel more at peace when they're there.
Yeah, it does have a really special energy.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about Love Has a Home and how that was started. What was your idea and all that?
Well, it sure didn't start with the idea of having a retreat center, I can tell you that. It started in just a moment of inspiration in my car driving to work into Westport. It happened in early October of 2017. I think the 3rd. It was a Wednesday. It was in the morning.
I mean, that was a pivotal moment too.
Yeah, maybe it was. And it was soon after the Charlottesville incident that was bringing up a lot of emotion for a lot of people. And the predominant emotion or reaction to that was resistance. Resistance to the hatred, which, of course we don't want hatred. But I kept seeing all these signs about don't hate, hate has no home here.
Yes, that negative feeling.
The negative. And the signs were just bringing that feeling in, even though they're trying to stop it by having a word on the sign in the negative, I just didn't have a good feeling with it. And so, I'm driving into Westport from Newtown, and I see the sign, and actually I stopped and took a picture of it because I'm like, I'm going to post this because I don't want this negativity. I want to just comment on it. Like we should be more proactive in, before something, not against something.
Yeah.
Then I get into the center of Westport, and there's this group of people, and they're walking with a banner, and I couldn't see the banner until I pulled out on the road and then looked. And in big words in the banner was hate. And then underneath that, it said something about how hate's not good or whatever. I don't remember what that part was. All I remember is seeing hate. Like, this is...
Not again.
Not again. Like, that was the straw that broke my back, right? So I'm like, I got to do something. And I'm like, well, what can I do? Like, well, I can create a positive message. Something about love. Because if we don't want hate, what we really do is we want love. Right? So let's focus on that. So it was like Gandhi was like, be the change,
Well, that's amazing, though, that you took that initiative.
And Martin Luther King, like he was there saying, hate can't drive out hate, only love can do that. All these messages were popping into my head because of all the work I'd been doing and reading a gazillion books, and so it was like all that was starting to just manifest outward into like action. So I'm thinking, first I'm like, what if I just flip it? Love has a home instead of hate has no home. I'm like, well, that's ripping it off a little. I feel, let me just check to see if there's trademarks or, so I just went to work and opened my computer and just started searching. And anything that I tried to find that wasn't that was already sort of, someone else had grabbed it. But Love Has a Home here was completely just wide open. and asking to be taken.
That's what it sounds like.
I swear, it was just waiting for the right person that just happened to, it's like when the vibrations match, and it's like ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. You get that hit, boom.
Yeah. Well, that's a sense. I feel like it just came because I was ready to receive it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't trademarked. It wasn't. It was just the URL, the website. lovehasahome.org was there. I'm like, bye.
Got it. Yeah.
And I trademarked it. I just went crazy. I started the nonprofit. I knew right away, this is not going to be about the money. I'm going to make this a nonprofit.
Yeah.
I had just done a retreat up in Vermont with 7 amazing people. We had this great bond, and this was 3 days before this happened. We just finished the retreat. So when I realized I need a board of directors for my nonprofit, I'm like, aha.
You knew who to call.
I knew who to call, and they all said yes.
Oh,
so it just instantly happened.
Everything just worked.
Just worked. And the beginning was, let's just put out a nice lawn sign that's a positive lawn sign. And then it was like, well, why not a T-shirt? And why not a magnet? And why not a,
bumper sticker that your friend saw.
Yes,
your new friend.
Yeah. So it's like, why stop? Let's just put it out there, And so that's kind of how it started. It was let's just put this message out there. And if we make some money, we'll take that money and we'll, put it toward other nonprofits, or we'll just do something good with it. That's really what it was. And
very cool.
So we worked very hard to get this logo done and the products and all that, and started putting them out there. But then I'm like, I have to actually work. I have a business to keep going. So
right.
It's how much time do I have? So it sort of went a little bit on autopilot, little bits here and there, and making some connections, and then Sticks and Stones happened.
So
I'm
now
like,
it's
whoa.
just serendipity and all that.
Maybe Love as a Home is about a place as much as a message. So
this is great, Bill. So it's all coming together.
It's all coming together, yeah. And even my divorce, I haven't really talked about my business at all.
No.
And
because we're actually going to have to wrap up in about 30 seconds. So
yeah. But I've started a conscious divorce group to sort of bring it all in together. It's consciousdivorcegroup.com.
So you're continuing that aspect of your work.
Yeah, trying to sort of bring it all together and help people go through the process just much more consciously and awake. And so it's all coming together.
Helping a lot of people. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, we're definitely going to have to come visit the Sticks and Stones soon and find out. I know you do a lot up there. And is there any last thought you want to offer before we sign off? Or
I want people to come to Sticks and Stones.
Just come check it out. So we're going to put up your contact info at the end. I think it's the Love Has a Home contact, so they can reach you that way. Mm-hmm. But they can also just go on the website for Sticks and Stones Farm.
Sticks and Stones Farm. It's open to the public. People come and hike and just experience the land. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Bill. It was a real pleasure.
Great. Yeah. Thank you.
And thank you to our audience for being here tonight. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Bill Donaldson as much as I did. Check it out. Sticks and Stones Farm. Love Has a Home. Signing off, I'm your host, Katie Augustyn. Thank you and blessings. See you the next time. Good night.